Hello, it's Martin from Wisely Automotive. Yet another video from Castle Combe. We wanted to make this a dedicated one because other than all the Tesla, Porsche Taycans and so on, which are here at the EV Truck Day, there's something a little bit special as well. An electric Mini conversion. Now, we don't feature many conversions on our YouTube channel, but Mini is quite close to our hearts as the i3 is a unique car as well, very small, compact, designed around being funky, and obviously Mini being owned by BMW, we thought this would be something which would interest you. So I'm here with a couple of guys who will tell us a bit more about this project. So if you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do.
All right, I'm Jerome with Fellten in the UK. We're based in Bristol, and we designed a system to convert the classic Mini into an electric Mini with Mini UK. So the project was always to keep the Mini feeling like a Mini. So it drives like a Mini, it corners like a Mini, it's bumpy like a Mini, but that's what we wanted to keep.
If you can tell us what's under the bonnet, what's actually powering the car.
All right, so under the bonnet we have part of the battery pack. The battery pack is 19 kilowatt hour and it's split into two units, one in the front and one in the back where the fuel tank was. So the weight distribution is a bit better than the traditional classic Mini. We also have the inverter, all the high voltage wiring, and the motor is deep down where the transmission used to be. So there's no transmission on the electric Mini. Again, the rest of the system is original, and the nice thing about the system, it's meant to be installed relatively quickly, meaning you lift the Mini, drop down the original motor and transmission and fit the new system. It's a bolt-on plug-in system. So it comes on a pallet with all the cradle you need, all the subframe you have from the factory, and you just bolt on the original points. To be happy with the DVLA, there's no cutting, no welding, nothing. It just uses the original mountings and the original holes to fit the wires.
I think that's something very important to mention because ourselves we like things which are as close to OEM as possible. Yeah. And with this, obviously, it was done in collaboration with Mini to a certain extent. And with it keeping the original mounting points, it really is about as close as it gets. Yet it's fully electric.
It's the plan, and also it's fully reversible. So if for any reason you wanted to put back the original motor, you can. Or maybe in 10 years' time, there's a new technology with a different motor, a different battery pack. Yeah, you can put it in.
Perfect. Can we dwell on the battery and the drivetrain technology a little bit as well? So you mentioned it's split into two and it's about 19 kilowatt hours.
So 2/3 of the pack is here, 1/3 is in the back. The wiring system goes underneath the car with a metal protection to save it from anything happening. And I'll show you the back in a second and you'll see, again, where the fuel tank was and the spare wheel was, we have an additional battery pack and charger. The charger is very interesting because it has V2L, so it means you can charge anything on 220 volt if you wanted to, such as an appliance, a coffee machine, hot plate, or a Tesla.
Yeah, we will give it a shot in a second because our car does need a little top up.
All right.
But that's fantastic. In terms of horsepower and torque, do you know the numbers off the top of your head?
Yeah, typically a Mini would be between low 40s to maybe high 60s. This is a 70 kilowatt motor, so it gives you almost 100 horsepower. So plenty of oomph. I mean, you don't want this to be a 200 horsepower Mini. Because we want it to feel the same as the original Mini, it has to be on par with a classic Mini. Yeah.
Many people are going to wonder, obviously, you added batteries. You still removed an engine, but you added batteries which are historically very heavy.
Yeah.
How has that impacted the weight of the vehicle?
People are going to think, maybe it's 100 kilos extra or 200 kilos. The whole car is actually 5 kilos lighter than the original Mini with a full tank of fuel.
So it just goes to show that with these modern electric cars being so heavy, it's not just the battery itself, it's the safety structure and so on.
Of course, yeah. But it also shows maybe in 10 years' time that we can make this even lighter. We could get twice as much range. So right now it's 110 miles, but maybe one day it will be more. But to be fair, when we drive those cars around the country, you don't really want to drive more than 100 miles in one day in one go. You still need to stop for a coffee break, and you can top it up. Yeah.
Speaking of driving longer distances, You mentioned it does not have rapid charging.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So I believe that was a conscious decision on your part in terms of the design, not to include it, to not make the system overly complicated.
Yeah, well, no, it could be done. It would need more cooling in the battery pack. That can be done. But the point is, the clients using electric minis, they don't necessarily want to go across the country. It will be like a second car or third car. It's a perfect city car. And I know you're very familiar with i3s. This would compare really nicely to i3 in London because it actually has more range. You have about the same room inside the car. So yeah, it would be a good companion to i3.
Something a little bit more retro
Yeah.
and classic, definitely. In terms of 0 to 60 times, same weight, slightly more horsepower.
Yeah.
What does that translate to on the road?
So on the road, again, the plan was to keep it like a classic Mini. It can go a bit faster, but luckily you have traction control. So if you go over your actual proper limit, the car will help you. But the plan is is to go fast in corners. You don't want to go 150 miles per hour. It doesn't make any sense in a Mini. You want to go quick. You want to be quick, so you want to go around corners. Quite fun. It's quite fun to drive. Again, the weight distribution being slightly better than the original one, you can take your corners a bit quicker. But again, the plan is to have a car that you can drive in the city, drive for the weekend. You can take your partner and a few bags in the back and have fun.
Lovely. If we can walk round to the back,
Yeah.
so we can see the other half, or a third rather, of the battery.
Yeah. This is not a demo car. This is a prototype car, so it's not as tidy as you would want, but you can clearly see the second battery pack.
Yeah, and you still have a usable boot for
Absolutely.
those people who are
Yeah.
interested. You can still definitely carry a couple of backpacks or a small suitcase in there. So in terms of charging, no DC, but still a standard Type 2 socket, so you can use your
exactly.
domestic wall box or just a 3-pin granny charger.
A 3-pin granny charger anywhere. If you go on a B&B hotel, you can charge anywhere. Yeah. And also an important aspect of the conversion is you do get a green plate. Inside, we wanted to keep the car as stock as original, so that's why you have the center dials, and you have a gear lever. It just goes in drive and reverse. There's no gears to select.
Yes, because the transmission is part of the new drivetrain, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
And still no airbag, so you want to be careful.
Of course, yeah.
Now, this is not only going to be a static video, because we are actually going to go around for a spin in the Mini.
Yes.
So if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Garry from Fellten. I'm the development project manager on the classic Mini EV system.
So let's jump in and let's take it for
Okay.
a spin. Now, this is bizarre to be a car of this size.
Yeah.
You can hear the running gear. Is it mostly the gearbox?
It is mainly the gearbox, yeah. And the actual squeakiest thing that you hear is the seat that I'm sitting in. So that is the squeakiest thing.
It's an authentic Mini, really.
It is, yeah. It still has squeaks and rattles. We have it so we can actually hear what's going on. We don't want to soundproof it too much and then mask, what could be something that, we might need to fix. So, but yeah, the old A series would mask most of the noises you would get.
Yeah. This is so bizarre. I know it may be tiny bit insulting, but recently we had a Renault Twizy installed.
Oh, Twizzies, yeah.
And they are also quite a kind of raw cars which are full of character, and I think this is kind of one step up from that.
Yeah.
But not quite, obviously. Full-on modern car, we're totally isolated from everything outside.
Yeah, well, you just have to look at how big the passenger space is. These things were designed in the 50s when there was, which is quite funny, they were designed out of a petrol crisis because you couldn't get fuel, so people were looking for more economical cars. So essentially we've come back to that.
Well, you would think that, but what's most popular these days? Massive SUVs.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Not a fan of them. I don't see the point of having a car that's too big, and everybody loves minis.
Yes,
Those
they
guys
do,
just
they
there,
do,
just-
yes.
but they haven't really changed since they were first built in 1959. But the key thing for us is that the car should still handle, drive, and act like a Mini. And you can still do that, but you just have a modern electric motor system installed in it. But now it's like 40.
It can't go.
It goes. So it's actually safer in a way that you can keep up with modern traffic. You're not having to change gear and go, oh, am I going to get up this hill? What am I going to do? But you know, it just goes.
And one of the things we hear very often is that does the electric conversion strip a classic car of its character? But especially if you can do it like you guys are doing, where you really keep the handling, the braking intact. It still doesn't have a brake booster, does it?
It doesn't have a brake booster.
So you do have regen?
We've got regen, yeah, so we have regen from the motor, and it's variable as well. So when you come off the accelerator, it regens a certain amount, and then when you press a brake, it will regen, of course, a lot more. And in such a small car, if you go down a hill, you can actually gain 1 or 2% of battery life just going down a big hill with regen. It's really good.
Yeah, so I think, honestly, for people being scared of electrification, this is an example of how electrification will actually help preserve older cars on the road, because not only are they compliant in terms of being zero tailpipe emission, and this one does have the green stripes on the number plate, so it is officially recognized as that, but also it means reliability-wise, this should be a lot better than trying to tinker with an old engine, at least in my opinion.
That's the thing, it's like people love classic cars, but a lot of people don't want to buy a classic car because they don't know the mechanical side of things. And this allows people to have essentially a modern car, but with classic looks.
Beautiful.
But there'll still be classic cars around. You'll still be able to get fuel. I can't see it being a problem, but more and more people, as soon as they try an electric vehicle out, they understand the benefits of it, and they're so easy to drive. But it's the ability to accelerate, and you're there. It's like you don't need to worry about what gear you're in. It actually makes the driving experience a bit nicer on roads like these nice sort of B roads are windy, and you can keep up with traffic, and if need be, you can even overtake.
Yeah,
it's like,
what a weird concept.
It is, and of course you overtake safely in a controlled manner, but I now have the ability, like I can, if I have space, I can go either in city mode, which we're in, but I can go into sports mode. And sports mode essentially gives me a lot more acceleration and a bit more power. So in city mode, it's not the full sort of 72 kilowatt peak, it'll be more like 55.
So in city mode it basically matches the original Mini, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas in the sports mode it gives
It's
you
a bit more, yeah. It's not a race vehicle by any means, but Minis just have this ability because of their great handling and light, because they're so small and light, they're very nimble. So they're very good for this application.
What again we realized with the Twiz is that you don't have to drive fast to have fun.
No.
And especially because of the dimensions, it means that every road now feels like you have a lot more room to kind of maneuver and have fun with your lines and how you go through corners.
Yeah. So I've been we've done probably about 15,000 miles in this car in a year. And no major issues with it at all. A few little teething troubles, but that was quite early on. But the fact that I can go out, I can use the car as a daily drive. We use it for commuting, but if you want to have a bit of fun, you can go and have a bit of fun with it. There's this thing but on A and B roads, you can be doing 40, 50 mile an hour, and it's so much fun because the car's small and nimble. You can enjoy the drive a lot more. So now, It's this ability just to sort of keep up and be a modern car, but it's not a modern car.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. And there's so many like people that don't like EVs, but they'll go into like a classic EV conversion like this, and they'll go, I actually like this. I'm not so keen on like modern EVs, but what this is kind of melds the two sort of worlds together.
And I think it's really, really well done. Obviously, we have emphasized this point many times over the course of the video that it really is meant to be as stock as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
But even the dials, these are obviously kind of modernized to show
Yes.
your kilowatts,
Yeah.
your speedo, and your kind of battery state of charge. But
Yeah.
it really keeps with the Mini aesthetic. You know, at the first glance, you can't tell that it's something new other than the tiny little digital screen.
Yeah,
and obviously, I've got the kind of digital
this is our
screen as
yeah,
well.
of course, this is our development one that we use for the car. So there's a lot more information going on there. But the key thing is that it doesn't need a big pad. It's not a Tesla where everything's controlled off your touch screen. You still have light switches. You have your hazards. You know, everything is as it would be on the Mini. You know, and you still have all your indicators and lights. So everything is as it was on the original Mini. It's
and this is now the mode switch.
This is
isn't it?
mode switch here. So this was originally a choke sort of cable for starting the car, but of course we now have it nice and discreet. So in city mode, it's like that, and then you pull it out to have the fun times. But and then of course we've got our bespoke heater as well here, because of course there's no water heating from the engine, so you now need an electric heater unit. So that's all in there, and it picks up on the original positions. So but yeah, back up to like that.
Nice.
But the Mini's always been famous for its handling, which is why it's always been a bit of a track weapon, even though it wasn't really meant to be.
In terms of the drivetrain cooling,
Yes.
is there any active cooling happening, or is it entirely the passive? Because obviously it's quite complicated in how it's split.
Yes, there is. There's no battery cooling or heating, so the batteries are just as they are within the battery box, because they don't have the discharge sort of requirements that need active cooling. However, the motor and inverter and the charger are all cooled, so we do have a coolant system within the vehicle that keeps everything sort of a temperature, and yeah, everything's about 28 degrees there. So batteries are 23 degrees, motor and inverter sort of 28 and 40 degrees. Like the highest we've seen them's like 60, 70 degrees. So you know, you're not running a pressurized cooling system, and the small bespoke radiator and cooling setup that we've got works adequately.
Yeah.
For 99% of the time, you don't need to worry about sort of cooling, and yeah, it just
Right
works.
thing for the right job, yeah. I think, especially these days, obviously, especially us who are kind of very technically minded, we like to geek out over the latest and greatest, but sometimes you have to step back and kind of evaluate, you know, what's really needed. Yeah. And especially here, for packaging reasons, it's important to surely strike the balance.
Yes. Packaging is one of the big key constraints with this, is trying to make everything fit within the realms of the engine bay and the boot, but without any modifications at all to the vehicle, and trying to maintain weight and power, and yeah, there's an awful lot of engineering requirements to do so, and yeah, we're very happy with the outcome.
Yeah, lovely. Well, I'm very grateful that I had a chance to be in the passenger seat of this. It's not something we do every day.
No. But yeah, as we keep saying, it's miles per mile, so it's like it still has that, you know, nice warm fuzzy feeling that you're driving something that's fun to drive.
Hello.
How was that?
Very good.
Good stuff. I was wondering if you can help out, because I've got to slide a lack of charge situations. So any suggestions?
Yeah, I think we can.
I think we can help with that. Yeah. So
There is a little switch here which activates the vehicle to load functionality. So now the Type 2 port is going to provide power thanks to a very handy and simple adapter, just like you would see on some of the kind of Hyundai and Kia products.
with the 240 volt out. So there you go, 13 amps.
Yeah, and if we look at the screen, you can verify the claims.
Cool. So charging away, obviously, I don't think with that kind of charging rate that you get out of a granny charger, I'm going to be able to do loads of laps. But if I get to 0% or 1%, as long as I've got a friend with one of these, then at least I can get to a charger.
I think that's about it. Now the obvious question is, if you like what you see, how do you get hold of one? How does that work?
Well, as I said before, Fellten doesn't provide system to individual customers. We work through a network of specialist installers, including Recharge Heritage based in the UK, but we have also installers throughout the world. So the best thing is to visit those guys or contact us at fellten.com and take it from there.
Thank you very much. There was mentioned an opportunity that we may be able to do some more with these minis in London, so stay tuned for that on the channel. But other than that, thank you very much for showing us around. We appreciate it, and we'll probably see you in the near future.
All right, good.